Okay, let's get this out of the way right here and now. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the only reason anyone seems to remember this special.
I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow.
Yeah, ask anyone who knows about this special and chances are good, the only thing they'll be able to tell you about it is that it was the first time that the Miser Brothers made their appearance. And having now watched the special for the first time in years, yeah, I can tell you there's a good reason for it. Santa wakes up with a bad cold one day, a few weeks before Christmas. This, combined with generally being overworked and with feeling a massive lack of belief and Christmas spirit in the world, Santa, played once again by Mickey Rooney, decides to just take Christmas off this year, even going straight to the press about it, a move that upsets everyone, including Mrs. Claus, who decides to send two dim-witted elves, Jingle and Jangle, along with baby Vixen the reindeer, out into the world to try and find a little bit of Christmas spirit. They end up shot down by a feud between the Miser Brothers and land in Southtown, USA, a place where the Christmas spirit seems especially lacking, and they haven't seen snow in over 100 years. And a bunch of antics ensue that ultimately sort of add up to Santa changing his mind. But there are a lot of plot threads that sort of get jumbled together. You have the kids not believing in Santa, and Santa making a visit to one kid. You have Jingle and Jangle trying to get Vixen out of the pound and then trying to convince the mayor that they are actually Santa's elves, and he tells them to make it snow, and Mrs. Claus tries to help them out by trying to get the Miser Brothers to make it snow in the south, but ultimately just goes over both their heads to Mother Nature. The whole thing is just sort of all over the place, and while it sounds like it has a decent setup in the beginning, the plot meanders so much that it sort of loses focus by the end. And much like Night Before Christmas, there's also the problem of the skepticism not really making much sense. Santa's a known public figure in this world, with a direct line to the press and the ability to travel wherever he wants, and again, he is not shy about letting others see him. So, while the lack of Christmas spirit makes sense, the lack of belief in a character that's very obviously real puts a big dent in the central conflict of the story. Again, the Miser Brothers, specifically their big musical number, is the only part of the whole thing that leaves an impact because it's the one part that sticks out in a meaningful way. The Misers in general are really minor characters in the story, ultimately pretty pointless to the plot overall, since Mrs. Claus just goes over their heads to their mother in the end. But they are genuinely entertaining. The rest of the special, though, it's very by the numbers and leaves very little impact. Mrs. Claus as the narrator and a character in the story is pretty good though, with a lot of her narration delivered in rhyme, which I do find pretty charming, and again, Mickey Rooney as Santa is always a delight. But Jingle and Jangle are kind of pointless characters, which is a shame considering that they're billed as the main characters during this entire thing. I'll also give credit where it's due, there are a few genuine moments of sentiment that I enjoyed near the end. Like the idea of the world officially declaring a holiday for Santa so he can have a day off, and the kids of the world writing letters and sending presents to Santa for a change. It's a really sweet idea, I have to admit. Really, with the exception of the miser scenes, the beginning and end of the special are its strongest moments, but the middle feels really padded and flabby. The animation is much improved here though. Once again, the quality of the puppets is wonderfully improved. Almost all the characters are well designed this time around, and just having all the elves have distinctive features is a big plus. All the characters look unique, and even their movements don't feel quite as stiff or jittery. The backgrounds though, while they're impressively designed, are kind of boring, save for the more fantastical areas we get to see later on in the special. Musically, it's a lot like the plot itself, with the exception of the Miser Brothers song, of course. Almost all of the songs in the special are just there. They're not necessarily bad. I do actually find myself smiling at the general goofiness of It's Gonna Snow Right Here in Dixie, but most of the songs just roll off without leaving any sort of impression. I Could Be Santa Claus is just pointless, Blue Christmas is a children's cover which sounds like it's trying way too hard, Here Comes Santa Claus is at least a bit of a classic, so it gets a pass. Even the title track, Year Without a Santa Claus, well, a cute way of presenting us with the premise and also giving us a triumphant reprisal song at the end, is mostly just forgettable. I believe in Santa Claus at least has some good sentiment behind it though, but again, Snow and Heat Miser are the only ones that are going to stick around in your mind after watching the special. You know, this is probably the script that's been the hardest to write, despite the fact that I've been looking forward to watching this particular special again the most out of all of them. I struggled to really figure out anything to say about this special further than what I've already said. It left that little of an impression on me, again, aside from the misers, which I keep bringing up because it's all I can really focus on. Heck, the characters were popular enough to get their own special years later, which, yes, we will be looking at sometime soon, but not for a while. In the end, and this is kind of mean to say, but I am not surprised at all that this special was the one that ended up remade into a live-action Lifetime TV movie, in that it is by and large just as forgettable as any other Lifetime channel movie, regardless of its subject matter. But let's put that out of our minds right now, like the majority of this special, and move on to the next one in Rankin Bass's lineup. I'll see you next time, everyone.